And everyone, welcome to the first episode of Victory Lap Irish Insight. I'm joined by my two co-hosts. Andrew, how we doing today?
Man, I'm excited to be back, baby. The lap is back. Get that hashtag, get that trending, baby. The lap is back.
Brian, how we doing tonight?
We're doing pretty good, Andrew. We've been back for about a month now. I don't know where you've been, but let's do it. First Irish Safety podcast. I'm excited. Let's do this.
All right. So to kick us off, obviously, we all know Notre Dame went 12-0 last year, went to the college playoffs, got beat by Clemson. So did everyone else. I would say that's a good year. A lot of people were kind of in the middle zone because they got killed by Clemson. But when Clemson beat Alabama, I think for me that kind of lessened the blow. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 12-0, 12-1, I guess. But 12-0 regular season is as good as it gets for Notre Dame. And let's not pretend like ND is a title or bust program right now. I mean, that's kind of a joke if people are valuing them like that. They're not Alabama or Clemson. And I was kind of a little bit on board with that. After they got curb stomped by Clemson, I was basically like, am I ever going to see Notre Dame win a national championship in my lifetime? I don't think so, because the rich keep getting richer in college football, and they're just not on Clemson or Bama's playing level right now. But with Bama also getting killed by Clemson, I think they're closer. They're closer than people think.
I was just about to say that. And before I give my answer on that, just to let the people know, this is a Notre Dame podcast where we'll be discussing all Notre Dame, not just football, correct?
Yes, all Notre Dame.
Okay,
all Notre Dame.
So if you're not the biggest football guy, don't fear. We got other Notre Dame news here as well. But to recap last year, I think it's to start off with the unanswered questions at the quarterback position going into the season. I did not have high hopes whatsoever. I'm going to be brutally honest. I thought it was going to be like maybe like a 7-8 win season. Just with the trouble with the quarterbacks getting any rhythm. I think that's one of Notre Dame's biggest problems is the quarterbacks just they lack the rhythm and confidence that their true potential can show. But yeah, that 12-0 regular season was thoroughly impressive to I think everybody that is a Notre Dame fan. But the way they played and they didn't even, yes, they got beat 30-3, but it wasn't. I don't think anyone would say they got their ass kicked as bad as Bama did. I mean, they were literally doing whatever they wanted against Bama.
I mean, if Notre Dame, if that fumble doesn't get overturned, which to this day do not know how it got overturned, they're up like 6-0 at that point, and they have all the momentum.
Honestly, I think it was because they literally they could not after the first half of the first quarter. They get like 3 yards in 3 plays, sometimes 3 and out, and it's just like this offense hasn't got anything going for them right now.
Yeah,
that's why I think everybody was like, "Holy shit, this team doesn't belong there."
They didn't do Book any favors. No,
that's true. That's true.
He
had no time.
But then you also have these big receivers, and it's not like you're really utilizing them that much. And Clemson's weak spot was their safeties, and it's like you never went one-on-one at their safeties. So, there's definitely advantages that Notre Dame had and they could have done in that game. Yes, they got killed, but it's not like Trevor Lawrence was throwing for 300 yards in the first quarter. I mean,
no, dude, I thought that game proved that Notre Dame's defense was as good as anybody else's in the country. Because they gave up 30 points with Julian Love sidelined for half the game. I firmly believe if he stays in, they probably give up 17 points that game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Another thing is, everyone's like, oh, they win. No, Notre Dame doesn't win if Julian Love plays, but it's a closer game. It's a closer game for sure.
Closer game. But nonetheless, though, like you said, the offensive line was not giving Book any favors. He was flustered all night. He didn't really – he could never get his rhythm, like I was saying earlier. I think they did give up on the run a little bit too early.
Yes, because that kind of got him there. It kind of got him there.
Oh, it did. I mean, they were literally – their ears were pinned back, ready to go get Book. I mean, they were not worried about the run whatsoever. It was plain and obvious. And the biggest the biggest thing I have is, so when Notre Dame isn't, trying to pull the game back in, I mean, they just had the costly 3-and-outs and the costly turnover. I mean, they were never really in it.
Yeah, I mean, once Clemson kind of blew it open, it was all the doors were off, and it wasn't like they were coming back. The last thing I'll say is all year, though, as good as Book was, he was one of the best completion percentage quarterbacks in the country, blah, blah, blah. For him to be that good in short passing, because he was literally atrocious down the field passing the ball. So, and that came back to haunt him, because what was Clemson's biggest weakness was the long ball against their safeties. And even as bad as Clemson killed Alabama still had some deep balls that they connected on.
Yeah, that's true. I think the issue there is, though, the matchup issues with Notre Dame. They don't have the top end receivers really. They were lacking.
No, that's
speed.
another.
Clemson's DBs are faster than the receivers, so they were really over.
Who Boykin ran the 4.40. So I mean, maybe Notre Dame does, and these coaches just aren't putting them in the position. I guess because
that could be true.
4.40 at the combines a 4.40.
I think it's not even so much. I don't think it's the speed or strength. I mean, obviously, I don't think Notre Dame gets as good of recruits as Clemson and Bama, but I think the biggest thing is the depth, because these teams can just like the D linemen, they can just filter people in and out, give a lot of people breathers, and they don't miss a beat. With Notre Dame, Julian Love goes out of the game, and literally instantaneously they attack the backup corner, and he gets torched. It was they don't have the depth that these teams have, and I think that's the issue.
Having the spells on defense will win you games every time. If you have depth on defense, you're going to win the ball game.
I was about to say, I think that really applies more to the defensive side than the offensive side, because you're not. I mean, some schools do, but Clemson, Notre Dame, you're not rotating a bunch of receivers regardless necessarily. Running backs the same way, but like you were saying, the D tackle and the cornerbacks, that's where it really comes into play. And I agree with you on that. They definitely have better depth, and Notre Dame does have a recruiting class. It's going to be the junior class, I believe, and it's like Kelly's best recruiting class ever. So hopefully they get some dudes on the defensive side of the ball in that class.
And to what Brian was saying earlier about how they're not on the level of Bama and Clemson, I think they're on the level with, would you say, every other school other than those two?
That's the thing too, is nobody. It's clearly just those two teams, you know.
Exactly.
So Notre Dame's definitely. Well, I mean, the year Georgia lost the national title to Bama, Notre Dame should have beat them at home. So I would 100% put them they're 1A,
tier 2,
and they're the tier 2 for sure. I would say they
behind tier 1, which is Clemson and Bama.
Yeah.
So who's the tier 3, or who's the tier 2? How deep is the tier 2 group? Is
tier
that
2? I would say
you got Georgia in there clearly, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You got Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Is Ohio State in there?
I would say Ohio State. I mean, they're the only team other than Clemson and Bama to win a title in the last 8 years. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And then
I wouldn't put Michigan in there.
Hell no. Win a big game.
No.
Win a big game. But I would say Georgia, Oklahoma for sure. They've been to multiple playoffs. Notre Dame, Ohio State.
We're missing some people. We're missing some guys. Hold up.
I mean, I don't know,
SEC team.
You could throw
Auburn, maybe Auburn.
No, they've been. It was 8-4 last year though. But you could have you could put Florida's on the cusp. I would say they would just went 11-2-3.
I could see them making a big leap this year.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then as weird as it is to say, Washington. I mean, they've been to the playoffs. They've won a Rose Bowl. They got beat by Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. They're on the cusp. I would say too. I would say max. It's with 10 teams. Max.
Yeah, with their coach, I think they're there. They're almost there. I think.
Yeah, agreed. They're
LSU.
Almost there.
LSU's got to be there.
I'd say LSU's on the cusp too. I think the 4 that we named are the for sure tier 2 teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so
probably a lot of people out there, you Notre Dame haters, are probably
furious
really wanting
that.
to contest that sentiment, but you don't have a voice, so shut up.
Furious
at that. Please leave feedback on the Twitter account.
Absolutely.
We'd love it.
Is it Irish Vic Laugh, correct?
At Irish Insight.
Oh, it is? I thought it was
No,
Irish
at
Victory
Victory Lap Irish.
Oh.
Like
Oh,
the
it's-
user. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
At
fuck.
Victory Lap
Just fucking
Irish.
it all up.
It said like 9 names.
Repeat it for the one time, so they know.
At Victory Lap Irish, if you have a comment or concern about any of our statements here, just let it loose. Fire away on
Well,
Twitter.
we encourage, since football's coming up, we're obviously going to talk a lot of Notre Dame football. We encourage any fan of any team. We will bring you on the pod. We can go at it about Notre Dame versus any team.
You can call into the show.
You can call into the
accepting
show.
calls.
So moving on to our next topic. So Notre Dame clearly lost a lot of defensive players. They do bring back Ian Book. Notre Dame's kind of had like a pro style with the rotating running backs. Obviously, Dexter Williams last year was the best, but Jafar Armstrong and all of them rotated a bunch. So what do you guys feel like with what Notre Dame has coming back? What are you excited for? I think we all are excited for Ian Book being back. I think that's a clear one. But other than that, what are you excited for?
I gotta go with some obvious names with Alohi Gilman and Julian Aquara. I think those are the two big names on the defensive side that really need to step it up even bigger than they did last year and just.
I forgot Alohi's coming back. He was probably another one that's like a clear cut. Everyone's excited to see him back.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And then Aquara, I feel like for once they actually have like a handful of D linemen that they've been able to play in the past few years.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited for their D line as a whole. They obviously have to replace Coney and Drew Tranquill.
Coming off an Aquara with an 8-sack season, I mean that's huge pressure. 12.5 tackles for loss. I mean that's just huge presence in the backfield that he needs to at least reciprocate, and if not, increase his numbers there.
Right, and then
I think like they lost a lot on offense, but like they got a lot of guys. Jafar Armstrong, Tony Jones at running back.
Chase Claypool's back.
They got Chase Claypool. I think for their wide receiving core, Kevin Austin is huge for them. He's got to step up.
They got the tight end, the white tight end, Cole Kmet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, their offense lost a lot, but they still got a lot of firepower.
And
honestly, this is kind of a hot take, but I would not be surprised if Jerkovich, the redshirt freshman, actually competes for the starting job this year.
Oh, I bet he will compete.
Wow.
But I don't think
serious?
I'm not kidding.
I don't think there's any chance he gets it.
I heard he's a stud. This goes into our topic a little bit later, maybe, about if you think Ian Book is actually a QB that can win a national title for you. But I honestly Notre Dame is married to the QB controversy debate every single day.
Every year.
It is
every
so
year.
Annoying, man.
Every
and
year.
I don't think it stops this year.
But so what I was gonna say though is,
nightmare.
what are some holes that you are like worried about? I feel like offensive line always reloads. That's just like one
I think
position
it's
at
out the
Notre
wide
Dame.
receiver position.
I would say the cornerback position. They were terrible when Julian Love couldn't play, and now he's not there at all.
Yeah, I thought you were talking offensively. I
No,
definitely agree
both
with
sides of the ball.
back.
Both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Troy Pride is going to be a guy that looks to fill Julian Love's shoes.
Yeah.
He was the guy playing alongside him, so that's the guy that's got to fill Love's shoes right there.
And he's a senior, step up kid. It's your turn. Next man in.
He's got to. He's got to.
Okay, so I guess what I'm gonna say is, what's the most exciting position you're looking for, and then I think we all agree that defensive backs is the most iffy.
Whole wise on offense, it seems like over the past few years, I think we'd all agree the tight end position is just it's not what we're used to.
No.
From, the former tight end. That's a huge part of the offense.
I was
that's
about to
literally
say,
the middle of the field.
It feels like it's always been a crucial.
That gives you the one-on-ones on the outside with the guys, the Claypools and the Boykins last year. That would have been huge.
I feel like
game changer.
The thing is, Alize Mack was supposed to be that guy because he was a very, very high recruit, but he just didn't really pan out as much as people thought he would.
Yeah.
So tight end will be huge.
I love the running back position. I think they're going to have one of the best 1-2 punches in the country. But I'm honestly concerned with the wide receivers. I think Kevin Austin, like I said earlier, is huge. They got Claypool, but he's not. He's like your slot guy. He's not going to be. He can't be your best receiver.
He'll never play slot, but they'll play. Chris Fink's back, so that's obviously huge.
Yeah.
That'll help a lot. But yeah, I mean, they need to obviously find another 2 guys to be able to. They need to find a deep threat. Someone who can go down the field. I feel
think
like
that's-
someone
yeah.
can get vertical.
they haven't had a vertical guy in a while, so that's big. So moving on to our next topic, getting into the schedule. 7 of Notre Dame's opponents are coming off a bye the week before they play Notre Dame.
Is that like an unheard of stat or what? Like
Yes.
that seems mind blowing.
Dude,
Like-
it is mind blowing.
That's like the
fucking ridiculous.
You can argue 10 out of these 12, 10 out of the, or no, sorry, 11 out of the 12 teams that's their biggest game anyways is Notre Dame, other than Georgia, you can argue probably.
It
Every other
is.
game is their biggest game. And then you got 7 of them are coming off buys. Like that is unbelievable.
Dude, you get 2 weeks of prep time. That is such a big advantage.
For your biggest game of the year, you have 2
Yeah.
weeks of prep time. 7 of these teams do. That's insane.
I'd say Michigan, Notre Dame's not their biggest one, but
Oh, okay, Ohio State, yeah.
but it's
sure.
definitely like number 2.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how the final rankings go, I mean, last year the Notre Dame game would have been a big enough win to keep them in the conversation potentially after that.
It was
Ohio State
Michigan's
loss,
best win for a while. It was Notre Dame's
Yeah.
loss. But
yeah, it literally was.
I mean, that's just insane. Like, and then you throw in
Who are they? Do we have who they are? The 7 teams?
We do not, but we can look them up. I'll look it up while you guys hash this out for a little bit more.
Okay.
So luckily,
Man, that is crazy.
so Louisville's obviously not one of them because that's who they start the season with. But it's like how like teams the week after playing Navy like never cover the spread
Oh, really?
because they're just like so banged up. It's like
Yeah.
teams
Right, yeah.
coming off of buys. I'm sure they're like, especially if they're a pretty good team, I'm sure they cover the spread like almost all the time, kind of deal. So I mean, like Brian was saying, 2 weeks to prepare. And like you said, it's Notre Dame, so everyone's going to be up for it.
Yeah.
That's just like an astonishing thing.
It's not only the team is obviously fired up for it, but the entire fan base is wanting to knock off Notre Dame. Like that atmosphere just gets the week of that game, the campus is going to be buzzing. You know it is. Everyone's going to get
Especially
hammered
if Notre Dame's good.
Yeah, that's what
Especially.
Barring Notre Dame's an elite team again in the top 10, that is, then that will the perfect storm is there for an upset any of those weeks.
Oh, for sure. This could be the year that like somehow Notre Dame beats the kids teams, but then like gets upset twice. Because I mean, if they're playing like a Virginia, and Virginia, this is like their biggest game, and Notre Dame just beats someone, and then like something like that. I don't know. It's just it's crazy for me to think about. You would think Notre Dame, since they kind of make their own schedule / get whatever 5 or 6 games from Virginia or from the ACC, that they would schedule a little better. But then again, I mean, I bet it's hard to kind of work around that.
It's honestly kind of the price they pay for not being in a conference.
Yeah, I agree.
They have to call these guys and set up games.
Right.
Obviously, they're going to want to have the bye.
Right. Oh, exactly.
Well, it's just like last year when the whole was like, Notre Dame's traveled so far. It's like, well, that's the price you pay for being independent and having a Shamrock series, like all that different stuff. Like that's on you.
Like no one's forcing you to go play in fucking Ireland.
No, exactly. And it's like you don't want to join a conference, which I never think they should, but don't complain about it then too.
Yeah, you just gotta deal with it. So what's your biggest worry on the schedule other than the big 2? And then two-part question. Then in which of the big 2 is a bigger? Which of the big 2 do you think they have a better chance of winning? Let's go with that.
It's at Michigan by far.
Which of the 2 do I think they have a better chance of winning at? I agree. I think it's Michigan by far, just because Georgia returns so many players, and at Georgia it's going to be tough. I'd probably say at Stanford's the next big one, but I mean, other than the big 3 that are on the road,
the USC game scares me this year.
See, I think too many people are writing them off, and I think it could be one of those things where I mean, Notre Dame's been pretty dominant against USC the past few years. Other than the one year that they went 4-8, they've been pretty dominant against USC. So I would say USC, because if they somehow lost to Michigan, you can't lose to Michigan and USC in the same season. So I would probably put USC, other than the big 3 road games, because I think that's clear cut. Because Stanford's obviously going to be good again, and it's at Stanford. Notre Dame seems to never be able to win at Stanford, no matter what year it is. So you throw away the road games. I think biggest one is USC at home. But then you have Virginia Tech at home, not bad. They play Virginia, who just won 9 or 8 games. And when return their quarterback, they're finally sniff success for the first time. So I don't know.
All right, so sorry to butt in, but I just got the 7. So it's honestly not the big names, but that just leaves Notre Dame susceptible to getting an upset. It's New Mexico, Bowling Green, USC, Virginia Tech, Duke, Navy, and Boston College. So I mean, if you
figured
Virginia Tech and USC though,
days to prepare,
Virginia Tech and USC, Virginia Tech and USC.
Yeah, that's bad.
Both those, I think could be. I was just about to say, I think Virginia Tech, because I mean that coach is a pretty good coach. They had the worst defense they've had in super long. They were all freshmen and sophomores, so that would be the team I would definitely be scared about. You
said USC or Virginia Tech?
Yeah, definitely.
I think Virginia Tech is kind of Notre Dame kind of beat the shit out of them last year at their place. And for Notre Dame, that's coming after the Michigan game. So if they pull off a big W, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a trap game, but they might not be coming too well prepared into that game.
Wait, so they play at Michigan. They play at Michigan, then Virginia Tech at home, and Virginia Tech has a bye and then plays at Notre Dame.
Yes.
That just screams upset city right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
Yeah, especially
that's a tough 2-week stretch. Holy shit.
And they got so they have a bye week before Michigan though.
Yeah,
Notre Dame does. That's why they'll probably overperform against Michigan and then underperform
and that's
against.
Even more of a reason for an upset that week. Yeah, Jesus.
Andrew, what do you think? Other than Georgia and Michigan, we'll throw out Stanford too. What do you think the toughest game is?
My obvious pick was Stanford. I think the the biggest. I mean, if we're looking at a road game, maybe I think it's got. I mean, obviously the only one left is Duke, but because I don't think Notre Dame really ever underperforms against a lackluster team.
And it's the opening week.
Yeah, I don't think they really do that opening weeks. They usually are pretty well prepared. Kelly does a good job there, but I think it's got to be the Virginia Tech week, just from what you guys just said. I mean, that Michigan week you're gonna put all of your effort into that game, depending on how that Georgia game goes too. I mean, that could be make or break the season potentially. That could end the playoff hope, and that could completely derail what these guys were working for all year. So they're going to be going all out into that game, no matter what. Really,
if Michigan's good, and let's just say they go 10-2, and Georgia goes undefeated, Stanford's ranked in the top 20 by the end of the year, and Notre Dame goes 11-1, they can easily get into the playoffs. So
without a doubt,
that Michigan game, let's say they're just a top 15 team, is just insane.
But my thing is, you guys, and obviously, I think the obvious take here is to say that Notre Dame has a way better chance to beat Michigan just due to the mashups and arguments with just the athleticism overall of.
And Michigan refuses to win big games under Harbaugh.
Yeah, you're right. But I really think that Notre Dame is going to be playing Georgia tough.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think a bunch of Notre Dame fans are they're going to get their ass kicked next year. I don't think that either.
I don't think that at all. I mean, the lap will be down there, so we'll see.
The lap will be in attendance, so we'll be really rich men or very poor men at the end of it.
Oh shit, we got to talk strats on the gambling weekend there.
Yeah, but we do. We'll bring in our gambling guy, Swanson Johnson.
Swanson Johnson, give him a follow on Twitter, people.
Swanson,
not even gambling. It's
Up and
just
coming.
investing.
But so we'll move on. We already went into like the road schedule, how it's just wild. Stanford, Michigan, Georgia road games are pretty insane road games. But this is a topic that I've always hated that people did it. Two FBS schools have never scheduled an FCS opponent. USC was one, but they just scheduled one. Notre Dame and UCLA are the only ones that did not. I will say the Big Ten finally said they cannot do it anymore. You have to schedule.
Props to them.
So props
Yeah,
to
I
them.
agree. That's big.
They already have 3 FCS schools in the fucking conference. They don't need to schedule
Exactly,
anymore.
exactly.
Goddamn.
Yeah, you have Rutgers and frickin' who else?
Maryland.
Maryland, Nebraska, all of them. But so the SEC does it a lot. Pac-12 does it a lot. ACC does it a lot. And so my take on this, before we get to you two real quick, is I'm okay if Alabama has Bowling Green and Arkansas State on their schedule. I'm completely fine with that. If they have 2 of their 4 are just dog shit teams, I'm fine with that. As long as it's a Division I FBS school. That's all I ask. I hate when these teams, you have like Alcorn State, and it's like I just beat you in my, it's when you're starting college football dynasty and you have to play an FCS opponent to get you
fuck
better
that
because
shit.
you're terrible. Like that, I just think it's stupid. There's no point for it. I applaud UCLA and Notre Dame. I hope USC gets rid of their game. You should never schedule an FCS opponent. There's just no point to, especially with the playoffs, how 4 teams, every game matters. Even just beating, let's say you beat a Bowling Green and somehow they win a MAC. That's not going to look bad on your resume.
Yeah, absolutely
Not
agree.
at all. Not at all.
So
Hold on. Is Southern
yeah.
Miss an FBS?
they are FBS, yes.
They are FBS.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dude, I think they should, like college basketball. College basketball doesn't even recognize a non-divisional opponent as a win or loss. It
Right.
just, like on the resume, it doesn't count. That's what they should do in college football.
Yeah, so
I agree.
you played 11 games.
Yeah. So the argument that Notre Dame only, like, they should get penalized for not playing in a conference title, well, how is somebody beating an FCS team a 13th win?
Yeah, no,
That's
exactly.
ridiculous.
Exactly.
It's bullshit.
So last year, am I mistaken that did Alabama have 2 FCS teams last year or just one?
Auburn?
I doubt they had 2.
Okay, so it was just one. Yeah. Okay, so it was just Mercer then.
But, like, that shouldn't count as a W. It's
It should
ridiculous.
not. But
Well-
the thing is, they strategically place them right before.
Yes, a big game.
Exactly.
It's
But-
like a.
Yeah.
So
So they
my
get 2 buys essentially.
So my thing, though, is-
that's my big gripe with it. It's like you have 2 bye weeks. These teams are never going to beat them, no matter. Their 5th string players who don't even bring their helmets to the fucking games would just easily handle that team. Like, it does not matter.
It's literally a bye. It's like a dress rehearsal bye week.
Yeah,
basically.
it's like you're practicing against the local high. It's the 14U Dallas team scrimming the Women's World Cup game.
so
That's what it is.
Andrew, last year
Actually, there's
last
even more of
year-
a talent disparity there because I'm pretty sure that 15U team beat the
They
Women's
beat
team.
them. That
last
is
year,
just-
Andrew, they scheduled Alabama State and then Liberty, but Liberty just moved Division 1 in the past like 3 years.
Okay,
So essentially it could have been
that's
2.
what it was. Okay, so that's what it was. Yeah.
But see, yeah, I'm with you. It's a bye week before, and I'm okay if your bye week is like New Mexico State, Ball State. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, at least they're Division
I'm fine
1.
with that.
They're
Because
Division
Ball
1.
State, like, they'll probably beat you maybe 1 out of 50 times, but, like, at least there's a chance.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, Appalachian State beat Michigan, and it was like the
Yes.
wildest thing ever. Because it never happens. How many times does a MAC school or a Sun Belt school? Last year, who was it that was Old Dominion, they're Division 1, but they were like literally the worst team in college football.
Dude, Notre Dame, Ball State played Notre Dame well last year.
No, but like you have guys who can play.
really
yeah,
do.
so like you have guys who can play. So my whole thing is I'm so glad the Big Ten got away with the props to them. I feel like that's a smart move. I mean, it can only
Agreed.
boost your resume. Like, let's say 10 teams have played FCS opponents and 10 teams have not. I bet the 10 teams who have not, their resumes are boosted just from playing all Division I teams.
So Arkansas State is FBS now.
Yeah, they're FBS.
Okay,
They've been FBS for a while.
Yeah, they've been FBS for a while.
Gotcha. It's
So,
just
so like they're all in the Sun Belt, like Southern Miss and all them. Those are all
Yeah.
Sun Belt teams.
What with the way the SEC's schedule is pretty grueling. I don't even mind really that Georgia plays Murray State and Arkansas State before they play Notre Dame. I think it's into their.
They're at least teams you have to prepare for instead of just not even know the name of.
That's
not Murray State. Not Murray State though, right?
No, not Murray State. They're not D1, but they're not FBS school. So I'm with you on that. Like I think the SEC can have like kind of like an out, but you can't schedule an FCS opponent. Schedule a MAC. Schedule like we were saying. That's where I draw the line at. Like I get the SEC's, maybe better than everyone else, but that doesn't mean you should get a week. You have however many buys you have, and then you have an FCS school. That doesn't that's not.
I like the stance on it doesn't count as a game either way. Like
but I would like that too.
Obviously, they're not going to fucking do that.
I bet the next year no one would schedule one.
Brian, you're huffing and puffing into the.
Yeah, buddy. Let's not huff and puff, buddy.
My bad, bros. But actually, on the flip side of that logic, if they say they don't recognize it as a game, what if they lose it?
Yeah, that would be crazy.
And then they still made it to the CFP, and you can't go against your rules. That would be absurd.
Well, then, you can't have 2 bye weeks. I think they just.
I'll take that chance. I'll take that chance.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's like 99.9%. I mean, like you notice North Dakota State might be like the only team year in year out that could beat Division FBS teams, and no one schedules them. So.
Wait, what was that team? What was that team we put through some money on?
Oh, I can't remember, but it was like the worst.
It was a 70-point spread, or like a 69-point spread.
They were down
by 77, bro. Just got shit on.
They were down like 55 at halftime.
Bro, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in college football. Like I've never seen a team that bad.
That was so wild. Bad. Like honestly, like
our kind. Pine Bluff.
It was something like that, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Like, there was a bunch of high school teams that could easily beat that team. Like, I don't know how they were like a D1 AA team, too. I don't know how, but.
And AIA.
All right, so we're going to move on. Matchup predictor has Notre Dame at 10-2. What do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about the 10-2 stance? Brian?
I think it's exactly, I think that sounds about right. You can't really predict 11-1 with that schedule. 9-3. I honestly thought they might be at 9-3 with the matchup predictor. I was kind of shocked it was 10-2, but I think they're gonna go 11-1. But I think this is the year they go 11-1, and if they don't make the college football playoff, then I think Notre Dame might actually start wanting to join a conference. I think that's when it happens. When they do not make the college football playoff at 11-1.
I think that all hinges on. So if Clemson and Alabama go 12-0, or let's say 13-0 the conference game, Georgia goes 12-1, loses to Bama, and then like Oklahoma goes 12-0. I don't think you can argue. And Notre Dame loses to Georgia. I don't think you could argue that. I don't think that. Like I think all the other dominoes definitely have to fall. So it's like okay, Notre Dame clearly should be in, and then they don't.
But what happens if Notre Dame went 11-1, and let's say they were in, like hypothetically, they're in a conference and win that conference title game and go 12-1? Does that push them over into the 4 spot? Because if you can argue that, then you're like, holy shit, Notre Dame actually does need to join a conference.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
But I think that would be the only scenario. I think they lose to Georgia, and then I don't buy Michigan being – we were talking about this earlier. I don't buy them being even in like a top 15 program, maybe top 15, but definitely not a top 10 program right now. They don't win big games. I think Notre Dame – strolls into Michigan and beats them by maybe like 10 or something. I mean, they're not going to blow them out there, but
when is the common denominator of Michigan handling Notre Dame? It's a mobile quarterback.
That is true.
And they don't have Shea Patterson is a fucking statue back there, man.
He's nothing like Denard Robinson back in those days.
He got sacked so many times last year. It was like I was just like mind blown that we kept sacking him. I was like, what the is this guy not trying to get out of the pocket? Like holy shit. But to answer the question, I think the 10-2 matchup predictor is extremely conservative on their part. No hot take there. I think that's exactly. I mean, I think the main reason that it's at 10-2, not 9-3, like you're saying, Brian. I think that's mainly because Stanford came off such a poor year last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
They beat back at the end,
Yeah.
and ended up getting. I'm not sure if they ended up ranked or not, but they
finished like 7-6.
Yeah, I mean they really blew up after Notre Dame handled them though. Because I remember we bet on the next week and they just got shit on by who was it?
It was like Oregon or someone.
Yeah, like someone.
Or no, they beat Oregon this year. It was
like Arizona State or something.
Yeah, it was someone bad. It was someone that they should have beat.
Yeah.
But I agree with that point. I think if Stanford would have had a way better year last year, or even went like 9-3-ish, won 9 games, I think the matchup predictor would have them at 9-3. I think 10-2 is definitely like, okay, they're going to lose at Michigan and at Georgia. I think that's like what they're.
And I think they will go 11-1 though. To follow up the point, I think they go 11-1, and I think they do get in. I don't think there's been a scenario really where a Notre Dame where an 11-1 Notre Dame wouldn't get in. I don't think there's been one yet.
That's what I'm saying.
What about
if the loss is Georgia? The loss has to be Georgia.
So the year that
it depends how they play too. If they get ran off the field, then it's different.
So the year that they lost at Stanford and they ended up finishing 10-2 that year, if Notre Dame just wins that game at Stanford, they're in.
They're in 100%.
So I agree with you. There has not been a scenario, and I don't think there will be a scenario.
What about last year? If they would go 11-1, I don't think they get in.
I think they do.
I think it would have been the judgment call of the century, to be honest.
Yeah, but everyone else would be 11. Everyone else would have been 11-1 too, though.
Who would their loss have been to again?
Yeah, but I think
it just depends. I don't know.
I think that plays a big factor is who would have their loss been to for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, that does.
Because then it's like the whole argument. Well, I mean, like clearly Notre Dame wasn't on like any fence. They were number 3. You know, it's not like Oklahoma jumped them. So
yeah.
So
and
like
also it's stupid that this is absolutely true. Is that it depends when you lose. If you lose earlier in the season, that's fine.
That's what I hate. Like the committee says it doesn't matter, and it does. They make it matter.
It does.
It 100% matters.
By the media, and it's fucking stupid.
It 100%
and the thing is,
matters.
here's another. Let me just go on this mini rant here. When people say the AP poll does not matter, yes, it fucking does. How the teams rank at the beginning, whoever ranks them at the beginning, like right now, why is Notre Dame?
Absolutely matters.
It 100% matters. Miami being number 8 propelled LSU to be that high, which then gave Bama the credible win, which gave Florida the credible win. I think they vice versa. But that kept the SEC teams up in that bubble because Miami was ranked so high at the beginning of the year.
I totally agree.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters at the end of the season, but I agree with what you just said. The committee looks at top 25, and that's what they base them off the quality wins before they give their first rankings.
Right. So their first ranking is indicative of how that all falls.
100%. 100%.
How it's also indicative. It shows how strong a conference is, which makes no sense because it's
exactly that's exactly my point. So the ACC looks like dog shit because all their teams lose. Then you got the SEC. Of course, they're staying relevant. You got like 4 teams in the top 20 or 5 even. Like Mississippi State was up there for a while. It seemed like.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Dude,
Mississippi State was.
I don't think it matters in college basketball because there's like 30, 35 games and it just washes away.
Well,
but
college basketball.
I don't think there's enough games.
College basketball, it runs a course.
There's only like in each team's schedule, realistically, most teams only have like 4 to 5 games where they're even expected to lose, right? Like the good teams.
Yeah.
Like we just got to go off a good team. So like
a chance to lose, yes.
Yeah, a chance to lose, right? Like obviously, like the circumstances may fall differently as the season goes on, but going into that season, there's probably 4 games where it's like, okay, we got to bring our A game here. This is not a bullshit week, and so there's not enough weeks for that to matter. Like one loss can screw the whole season, and it can like that.
The thing is, what they should do is not rank teams until after like week 4.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They're never going to do that because all these preseason rankings generate so many clicks and debate on the media. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
no, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I would not be opposed to them waiting till like week 4 and seeing what it's at. Because, like, I mean, if you don't have a rankings, then the committee can kind of make their own rankings in their heads and then base it off of that. Like, Miami, like, you could watch Miami week 1, you're like, okay, maybe they're a top 10 team coming in. But after watching it, you're like, they're clearly not a top 10 team. LSU might be good, but Miami's not. So I agree with you.
And then LSU no longer has a win against a top 10 team.
Right.
Exactly.
Sure.
It's like against the top 25 team or whatever they ended up, like 20, like
Exactly.
35, 40. Like that's what it.
So to wrap up our 10-2 season, I'm actually going to go against you guys. I think Notre Dame goes 9-3. I think Georgia's a loss, obviously, and then I think they have a hiccup against like a Virginia Tech or a USC. And then I do think they lose.
I think they're honestly, I agree with you, they're more likely to lose to Virginia Tech than Michigan.
I
Kind of a hot take, but I think it's true.
100% agree. I was just about to say, I really don't see a scenario that they lose to Michigan. I mean, obviously there are scenarios, but I don't think they lose to Michigan. I think they'll lose to like a Virginia Tech, USC, and then I hope they don't because they haven't been able to, but I think they lose at Stanford too.
I think I'm inclined to say like they either go 11-1 or 9-3 because like if they go into Stanford with one loss, I don't think they lose to Stanford.
I'll agree with you on that. I agree with you. If they go into that game 10-1, depending how good Stanford is, Stanford has to be like 9-2 at that point for me to think that they're going to lose. But if it's like an 8-4 type season for Stanford or a 9-3, 100%, I don't think Notre Dame.
I mean, that's what we thought though in that season where their only loss was to Clemson by 1 point or whatever, 2 points.
But Stanford ended up winning the Rose Bowl that year.
That's true. They were definitely a team.
So like they were good. Yeah, they were good.
That's.
So
they don't have Bryce Love anymore. So that's
no, they don't. And their quarterback is. I think he's terrible, but he thinks he's like an NFL quarterback. So Brian has him at 11-1, Andrew 11-1. I have him at 9-3. I wouldn't be shocked if they went at 11-1 though. With, like you said, if they walk into Stanford at 10-1, I don't think they lose either. But that wraps it up for our first show. Brian, any final thoughts?
Nope. Next week, probably all Notre Dame football again. Might get some other sports involved, but probably Notre Dame football. So.
What about 7? Question 7.
You want to run it through it real quick? Oh, I forgot. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can. Brian, you think Ian Book's a national championship caliber QB?
So this is one of those things I'm going to start it off by admitting I was wrong, which never happens. I'm sure a lot of you people know that about me, but I was pissed off last year when they benched Ian Book. I thought
you mean Brandon Wimbush?
Or when they benched Brandon Wimbush and brought in Ian Book. I couldn't believe how good Ian Book was. I thought Wimbush was the type of player that can win a national title. Obviously not even close to true. He's just not a QB, athlete at QB. But
he's going to start at UCF this year.
I still don't think.
Yeah, that's huge.
I still don't think. I mean, you guys are probably going to disagree with this. This is why I kind of think Jurkovec ends up. I don't know if he ends up starting at the end of the year. That would be an immensely bold take by me.
That would be insane. That's like you're assuming injury there, right? There's no way he just takes over the job.
Well, that's exactly what. If Ian Book struggles like Wimbush did last year, I think it is a very possible scenario. Because with how bad Book looked in the title, I know he didn't get enough time, but I think it has a very good chance. Not good chance. It has a good chance of happening if he struggles. If he doesn't struggle, it's not going to happen. So it's going to happen within the first 4 weeks.
My rebuttal.
If he doesn't play up to his expectations the first 4 weeks.
Okay, I can buy that.
My rebuttal to that would be though, 3 of their first 4 opponents are just dog shit.
But so were last year with Wimbush. He just didn't play well against
yes, but Ian Book within 10 yards is like one of the most
night and day compared to Wimbush.
One of the
yeah,
most prolific passers, like within 15 yards percentage wise. He completes it like an 86% percentage wise. Like it's insane.
Well, we were talking about this at the beginning of the segment or the beginning of the show. You have to be able to stretch the defense in football nowadays
against good teams. Against good teams. So he's going to win 3 games and look good and put up good numbers because he can do what he does. So my thing is like depending how their schedule goes, and he showed he could beat. Well, I take that back. Wow, that was wrong. Brandon Wimbush beat Michigan, but like he showed he could beat good teams. He didn't play too well against Clemson, but I would say
against Michigan, second half Wimbush looked like trash.
Yes,
the defense adjusted.
100%.
If that would have won another quarter, Notre Dame loses that game.
I agree.
Even another half quarter.
Yeah. So when they play at Georgia, I think for your 4-week thing, I think that's like really going to be a time telling. If he looks good and they lose, there's zero chance that they flip it, even if they lose like 3 games.
What happens if it's Clemson 2.0
against Georgia? Oh, then I think they actually start thinking about
looking.
Yeah, I think they start looking too. I see what you're saying then. But my thing for is he a national championship caliber quarterback? I think if he can complete the deep ball, that's always been his problem. He is clear cut, definitely a championship caliber
100%. But I don't think you can assume he develops that skill.
You definitely can't. But that's what I'm saying. That's his big thing. And Andrew,
I
what do
agree
you
with
think?
what you're saying completely. But he needs. There was literally a non-existent run game in that Clemson game.
That's true.
He's not a Tua or a.
He's not going to be Trevor Lawrence.
He's not gonna take over a game by himself.
I agree with you on that.
He needs some help.
I agree.
Imagine if Dexter's there putting up 100 yards. I think it's really a completely different. He's comfortable, like the ball's moving. He's making those routine. I feel like the pressure was on him from the jump, and he just was not able to settle down. I really think that's all it was.
I think if you get him in a rhythm and you get him comfortable, that I think he can definitely do it, even without necessarily completing the long ball at a high
he doesn't
percentage.
even have to. I mean, he threw that 50-50. The longest ball he really threw most of the year was the 50-50 jump ball to Boykin and Mac sometimes. You know, like it was just those. Like it wasn't really like. I mean, so, like in that Vanderbilt game, he had a long pass, and it was like.
Brian, yes or no question. Do you think he is? Yes or no?
No.
Andrew?
I think he is, but he's not a one-man show. He can do it, but he needs a solid running game to help him.
I agree. I think he is. He's not going to be the Trevor Lawrence or the Tua or the Kyler Murray.
He's not a Heisman national championship quarterback. He is a national championship quarterback, but not a Heisman quarterback.
I think he's like a Matt Leinart quarterback, just not the Heisman Trophy.
But what happens if
he's not the
shows
MVP
that
of the
he's
game.
that type of QB? But what happens if Jurkovich? I mean, he's not going to be as good as Trevor Lawrence. But what happens if he shows that type of potential in practice?
But they have that. They say that every year with every quarterback that they have as a backup. Wait till this kid starts. Wait till this kid starts. That's every year.
On.
Wait till that kid starts. Wait till they got him. Oh, did you hear Brandon Wimbush? Malik Zaire. He was QB 11. That happens every single year.
They said Wimbush was the second coming.
That's my point. Every year you hear that.
Imagine if you have the scenario with Clemson, right? So you got Lawrence and
dude, that's the exact same scenario.
Yeah, and
you're talking about
coming off a playoff scenario, they get whooped in the playoffs.
Kelly Bryant.
That could be the exact scenario.
Okay, but
I'm saying, like, I'm not saying what if Jurkovich is like the lie that Notre Dame says every year. I'm saying, what if he actually does show that Trevor Lawrence capability?
I would have to see him in a game first. I can never trust practice stuff because, like I said, every single year
he'd be getting reps. Theoretically, he can be getting some reps. In
if
first
they
3 games, right?
Well, you remember when Clemson? He can play in 3 games. But you remember when what Clemson did? They split series. Like they would do one series Lawrence, one series Kelly Bryant, and if they did that and he looked great, and then you went to Georgia and like Book got more of the reps, and Book looked like shit, then I would not be like, okay, don't do it. Like I would see your point definitely then for sure.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I haven't watched the kid in practice, but Who knows?
I get your point. Like if they did the whole Clemson thing and he starts looking like not obviously like dude, Trevor Lawrence is a once in a lifetime. So we're not
Yeah, that
comparing him
guy's
to Trevor
absurd.
Lawrence. But if he looks
So-
like clear cut, like he could put them over the edge, he's completing the deep ball, he's just throwing at an all time high level, and then you go to Georgia and Book has a Clemson 2.0. Yeah. But for me, right now, like I don't even think there should be a competition.
Yeah, I can see it. So, yeah, I think it's a little
Yeah,
something.
I think you go into the season telling. I mean, you can't really tell Jerkovich that like you're on the bench there, but I think you go in the season with Ian Book as like Notre Dame's QB. You kind of
Right.
have to.
Right. All right. Well, it's a 2 yeses and 1 no. Wraps up our first show. Andrew, any final thoughts?
No, man, just good to be back. I really want to encourage the people that are listening to this. Give us some feedback. Talk some shit on Twitter.
Yeah. We'll
Like I
talk
want
it
to, I
back.
want to get some interaction with the people. I think we got some good giveaways coming up here. We want to try to boost some
Fan
numbers on
interaction.
some different platforms. We got some ideas for some giveaways here that I haven't discussed yet, but I think we'll be all on board with them here. So
And
Let
dude.
us know.
be active in Twitter. Yeah.
stay tuned.
Like
We're
Ayo
gonna
said, if you think Ian Book is a national title QB or not, let us know on Twitter.
stay tuned. Soon we're gonna be releasing our college football tour dates. One game you can count us definitely at. Maybe not Brian. He's moving to Chicago on us, but we will be at Notre Dame, Georgia. No doubt about that.
100%. That is a lock. Lock it in.
But
21st of September. That's your fucking birthday.
that's my birthday.
Holy.
But we will be releasing a college football, our little tour where games we're gonna go to this year. We have a new gambling guy, Swanson Johnson. Follow him. He will be on shows with us. We're gonna bring him on the Notre Dame show for a little segment to tell us if we should hammer the over under on the Notre Dame wins. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. We're posting the
Twitter.
episode. Give it a like. Give it a repost. Retweet. Everything.
What's the Twitter handle one more time for him?
Brian.
At Victory Lap Irish.
And one thing I want you guys to reply to: do we ride Notre Dame all year with the spread? What do you think? Do we ride them all year and just see how it goes?
Give us your
Maybe you
feedback.
there
We
too.
love feedback. Thank you, everyone, for listening.